What's going on, guys? So today's video is going to be another one of those videos that I'm pretty darn passionate about, so just forgive my excitement when I talk about this subject, because this is something that I feel very, very strongly about. So the topic of today's video is basically, if you're one of those Christians that's super duper passive and you're just kind of waiting for somebody else to do something about whatever thing you're waiting for to happen, then stop that, because it could very well be that God wants you to wait, that God just wants you to pray. Prayer is both the least and the most that we can do in a lot of cases, but God, a lot of the time, designs us specifically for the situations that we're asking for some sort of deliverance in. So many Christians these days are really afraid to take action. They're afraid to condemn things. We disguise it as trying to be tolerant or just to love everybody. And while we are called to love everybody, I think that our definition of love and what love actually is gets really, really mixed up, particularly in the kind of new age movements that we have. I think that we tend to forget that God is not only a God of love, but God is also a God of justice and a God of truth. And I think also that with some of the examples that I talk about today, that you'll find that love isn't necessarily just accepting things the way they are, the way that somebody says they are, and love isn't always enabling people. Love is not us sitting back and allowing sin to continue completely unhindered. Imagine if Jesus just, instead of condemning things and telling people how they ought to live, imagine if instead he just said, do whatever you want to do, man. Do whatever makes you happy. That's a big one these days, is do whatever makes you happy. Do whatever you feel. That's called Buddhism. Just do whatever you want, but here's some guidelines that you can follow, if you want. So let me ask you a question, guys. If you're a parent and your kid asks you for something that you know is dangerous for them or that you know is wrong, would it be considered love or a loving thing to do to give them whatever that thing is, whether it be dangerous or just bad for them in general? Is it considered love to let your child do whatever they want with no consequences whatsoever? A good parent will always discipline their child when they're intentionally disobedient or potentially does something really dangerous. Obviously, there's more to being a good parent than just straight up discipline. But my point is that just being tolerant and not telling people the truth is not love. No matter how much people don't want to hear it, we have to take a stand for the truth, guys. For truth and justice. In today's society, cancel culture and claims of my truth run rampant. When people are offended by what you have to say, they hate you, no matter whether there's factual evidence involved or not. No matter how much you don't want to hear it, running into oncoming traffic is probably going to get you killed. Now, you can say that it's your truth that running into oncoming traffic will be totally not harmful whatsoever, but the truth is that what you feel about the situation doesn't matter. The fact is that your body can't withstand that sort of blunt force trauma. So for example, on topics like abortion, we have to be strong advocates for life, even though people will rake you over the coals for speaking out about how you feel, or about not how you feel, but about facts. And the fact of the matter is, guys, that pro-choice advocates base their entire argument on what they want and what that would allow them to do. And they also, I can tell you, they also base it on location, as stupid as that is. A heartbeat in the womb is no different than a heartbeat in the outside world, but not according to pro-choice advocates. Strangely enough, however, scientists strongly believe that bacteria found on Mars constitutes life. I suppose all that we have to do in order to persuade scientists to the pro-life argument is to load pregnant mothers into rocket ships. I know that there are plenty of women that will argue that it's their body and their choice, but is it really though? Let me ask you this question. How many fingers does a pregnant woman have? How many toes? If you answered 10 to either one of those questions, you can clearly see that the baby is not a part of you. It has its own fingers, its own toes, arms, legs, and its own heartbeat. He or she is their own person. And of course, the Bible says that we shall not murder, like in Exodus 20:13. We are never, under any circumstances, guys, to take the life of another person, particularly someone that's completely innocent and cannot fight for their own life. Our job as Christians is to stand up for what's right, to stand up to injustice. Don't stand idly by and wait for someone else to do something. At least speak out and let your opinion be known, guys, what we stand for. God might have created you for exactly the purpose that you've been praying for someone else to take care of. But guys, the subject does not end with abortion, even though abortion is one of the most highly disputed things and one of the things that I see Christians just not really take a stand on, even if they really truly believe that life is what we should be going for. I mean, this is a completely politically incorrect thing to say, but guys, there's a reason that God wanted sex to be for marriage and that God wanted sex to be a special and holy thing, is because he knows that there are things out there like STDs. He knows that if you are having sex with someone out there that you wouldn't want to support a child with, that things like this could happen. The truth is that God doesn't just tell us not to do things because God is a jerk. God tells us not to do things and gives us guidelines and parameters and rules because he's a good father. Just like I remember my mom was actually telling me a story earlier tonight about how we would keep the keys to a lot of different to like some rooms in our house up on like pretty high places, and I would go around with I'd take a ball and I'd try to throw it up there and like knock the key off, or I'd use like one of my Little Tikes baseball bats and try to knock the key off to try and get into stuff. And the reason that my mom put those keys up there wasn't because my mom was a jerk, but because she didn't want me to get into something that I could hurt myself with, if that makes sense. And it doesn't even have to be a subject that's super controversial, guys. Like, I see so many Christians out there that just won't get involved in any sort of situation, won't get involved in any sort of conflict. And that is not what we're supposed to do as the church. We are called to be the salt and light of this world. And how can you be the salt and light of this world if you're just hiding in the basement, or whenever some sort of public conflict arises, you just decide, oh, well, I'm just gonna pick up my keys and leave? And trust me, there are some good things about just taking your keys and leaving in certain situations where you can't help. But I've been in far too many situations where Christians had a chance to do something, to say something, to step in, to intervene, to share what the actual truth is of the matter, and instead they're just either completely silent or they just run away. And that is so not what Christians are called to do. That's not what Jesus did. When Jesus saw that people had turned his Father's house into a marketplace and were using it for their own good and for greed, Jesus didn't just decide, oh, well, guys, I can't stand that they're doing that, but oh, well, I guess I'll just walk away. Hopefully somebody else deals with that. Hopefully somebody else clears them out of that temple. No, instead, Jesus found a whip and he went in there. He overturned tables. He started whipping at people. I mean, Jesus got angry. Anger is not a bad emotion when it is a righteous anger. And guys, some of the things going on in the world today should make us angry, and angry to the point where we go out and do something about it. Virtually all of you guys have social media platforms that you can spread the truth on, or you can do something like vote or protest, or any number of things, guys. The point is that we as Christians cannot afford at this time on our planet to sit back and be quiet. We have to be some of the loudest voices in the world right now, particularly now, guys. I mean, there are so many signs that point towards us being close to end times, And we cannot afford as a church to be silent right now. So take a stand. You might take some heat for it. I understand that it's hard. I mean, with the way that things are going right now, I don't know if sometime down the road, if putting my views out there, putting my past out there, the things that I feel like can help you guys out or can inspire a generation, I don't know if sometime down the road, if things continue trending in the way that they are in this world, if I might get canceled for that and I might not be able to get a job, or I might somehow lose friends. But guys, we have to use the voice that God gave us. And so I really hope that this video inspires you guys to use your social media platforms, or even just in the world, when you see somebody in a fight, or when you see some people arguing, or when you see somebody doing something to somehow desecrate a church or whatever, that you step up and let people know how you feel and not just go along with it. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe with notifications on. It really helps me out, and it really helps to support the mission and get this message out to more people. Thank you, guys. I'll see y'all next week.